I'm the chair of the Rayo CAC. I'd like to welcome everybody and first call the Rayo CAC to order. I'd like to welcome Chair Cynthia Neff for the Hydraulic CAC and Chair Chris Schambach from the North CAC. You all have to each call your CACs to order. Cynthia?
Yeah, this is Cynthia Neff, and I am calling the Places 29 Hydraulic CAC to order.
Chris?
This is Chris Scharnbeck. We don't have a quorum, so I'm not able to call our group to order, but I'm happy to be attending and be here and relay anything I learn.
Sure, thank you. Welcome, everybody. Rachel will do the introduction to the meeting. Rachel, please.
Rachel, you're muted.
Yeah. Doesn't look muted. We can't hear you, Rachel.
Rachel, you're muted.
I think she's unmuted now, and I can do the list for hydraulic and north to give us a moment to figure that out.
Sure.
Or Rachel, you want to try again? Okay, can't hear you. And then worst case, I can read the others for
Well, I can.
Rayo.
Sure. Yeah.
So from Places 29 Hydraulic, we have Cynthia Neff, chair here, Yolanda Speed, John Neal, Vito Chetta, Tony Wayne, Phil Love, and Rosemary Miller. I think that was everybody. Oh, Jane Fogelman as well. Did I miss anyone? Wait, okay, that was everybody. And then from North, Places 29 North, we have Chris Scharnbeck, the chair here, as well as Chanel Cockrell. And then I can just go ahead and jump in. Or Marty, do you want to go ahead and do Rayo?
Sure. So we have in Raya, we have Lee Conder, Tom Paletti, Todd Cohn, Nancy Hunt somewhere. Where is? Oh, there you are, Nancy. And I saw Peter somewhere, Thompson. I thought I saw him come on. Oh wait, I have a second page here. I think that's it.
Nicole is here. Nicole.
Okay, so that's it. I've identified all our people.
Thanks, Marty. So I will just read a little bit of language as well, since we're doing this meeting virtually. It's a little bit different. This meeting is being held pursuant to and in compliance with Emergency Ordinance number 20-A6, an emergency ordinance to ensure the continuity of government during the COVID-19 disaster, and meets the open meeting requirements of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And again, this is the Places 29 Rayo and Places 29 Hydraulic Community Advisory Committees with guests from the Places 29 North CAC. And the people responsible for receiving public comment are members from the Places 29 Rayo, Hydraulic, and North CACs, as well as the Albemarle County Community Development Department. And this is just a thanks to everyone that's participating online. I see we have one attendee, as well as our CAC members. And over the phone if we have anyone that does that. Opportunities for the public to access and participate in the electronic meeting through Zoom are posted on the county website. And I'll just add that if you would like to speak and have a question at various points during the meeting, if you can use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your toolbar, that's helpful for Marty and others to see that you'd like to speak. And that is the same for the attendees as well. We can bring you into the Q&A portion of the meeting if you have a question. And I think that is all that I have to say to do in the meeting.
Okay, so we're going to get on with our first presenter, Charles Rapp, but I might say one other thing. The questions will come at the end of the presentation, obviously. We have a lot of people. I'd like to try to restrict one question to each person, and we'll go round robin, and we'll see how many questions there are. And then if time permits, we'll see if I don't think we have any public on, signed on. I can't tell right now. But if we do, we'll look and give them a chance if we have the time. With that, I'd like to introduce Charles Rapp, who is Planning Director, and let him introduce himself more properly. Charles?
Sure. Thank you for the introduction. And I appreciate everybody giving me a few moments of their time this evening. And I will say, with the 4 or 5 months of doing virtual meetings, this is by far the largest group of panelists we have tried to bring together. So this is hats off to the staff and everybody working on this one. So far, so good. And I've got a couple of little slides just to tell you a little about myself that I will share right now. All right, can everybody see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, so as was stated, my name is Charles Rapp. I'm the Director of Planning for the county. I started here back in March, about a week before the whole COVID pandemic. So it has been an interesting several months navigating this process, getting to know everybody. I see some faces of folks I've met and quite a few that I haven't. So those of you that I haven't, I look forward to getting to know you, whether virtually and hopefully one day in person when we get there. So I'll tell you a little bit of background just about myself. Grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. Lived in Athens, Georgia periodically when I was in college studying landscape architecture, and then later environmental planning and design for my urban planning studies. And then I relocated here to Virginia in 2011 with my family, and I've been an Albemarle County resident since 2012. I was not working in the county. I was commuting up north to Culpeper for about 8 years or so. So it's great to be working in the county that I reside and working in my local community, that's for sure. And I live here with my wife, 2 kids in actually the North 29 area. So this is definitely my neighborhood. A little about me professionally. I'm a licensed landscape architect in several states. Primarily practiced in the southeastern U.S., a little bit in the mid-Atlantic area. Certified AICP certified planner. It's been pretty actively involved in the American Society of Landscape Architects and APA and our local chapters here and in the South when I lived down in Georgia as well. First part of my career, and some up here as well, I was involved in private sector consulting, all different types of land development, and then transitioned after the Great Recession years ago into the public sector, a little more stability and a little more large scale interaction with local communities. Was a planning director in Culpeper for the past, for about 8 years prior to coming here to Albemarle County. Little smaller place, so I was involved in all types of stuff from land use, transportation planning, zoning, parks and recreation planning. So it really kind of exposed me to all different facets of the public sector planning world. Talk a little bit about some of the upcoming projects we're working on in CED. Have a lot of talented planners here that I get the pleasure of working with, and I'm sure many of which y'all know. Wrapping up the Crozet Master Plan is one of our main objectives right now. Hope to have that finished in the first quarter of next year. There's the Rayo area form-based code. That's another interesting project. We really hope that to kind of lay the foundation for more form-based code throughout the county and the development areas. That one also should be wrapping up in the first quarter of this year, of next year. And we are about to kick off a Rayo Road corridor study, kind of a comprehensive visioning study to ensure we get future transportation improvements, as well as land use planning along that corridor. And the big lift that we'll be really undertaking here a little bit later in the fall, and it should take a pretty significant amount of our time and interaction with the community and the CACs and all different stakeholders, is the update to the comprehensive plan. Last update was done in 2015. State code actually requires that we take a look at that every 5 years. And there are certainly some elements there that can be updated. There's some inconsistencies that have come up in our master plans as they relate to the comp plan. And then as the next item that we'll also be working on in tandem with that is some ordinance revisions, trying to clear up any inconsistencies there and hopefully improve our process with long-range planning and development review and update some of these items that have been done in the past throughout the county. So as far as community advisory committees, I've been going around to them this month, and will continue to do so. Sorry it took me so long to get here, but it was quite a transition into the virtual world. But I'm excited to be here now, talking with you. One of the things we've been talking about doing to hopefully create a little bit of some formality to these meetings too, is to establish an annual work plan. I know there's a lot of topics that CAC's members of the community want to address, from land use, transportation planning, parks and rec issues, and any other topics that come up. And I think it would be beneficial if we could kind of really identify when we're going to be talking about those, so that you and other members of the community can prepare for those, and we can really dive into a level of detail. If we can allocate, maybe a 2-month period to focus on each topic, and then that will help us feed those into our master planning process and the comp plan and other planning efforts that we do. And then, as many of y'all are used to, we'll still have the community meetings for developments within each CAC area to work through that as well. So it's really all I had planned to talk about tonight. Happy to answer any questions. There's my email up on the screen. Always enjoy reaching out and speaking with members of the community and getting to know folks. So please don't hesitate to contact me in the future. Or if anybody has any questions tonight, I'm happy to answer those as well.
Okay. Now I need help to find the hands up. Does anybody? I see participants.
If you click on participants, next to the names, there should be a little hand that pops up.
No one has any
no
hands
one-
raised.
Nobody
Yeah.
has a hand up so far.
Well, I'll stick around for the evening in case other questions come up.
Well, I have
so.
a question. You don't leave so fast. We had in Places 29 Rayo had asked for the master plan to be updated. While the comp plan you said was updated in 2015, the master plan, the Places 29 master plan, is over 10 years at least since it's last been updated. And I don't know, is there an opportunity to do both in parallel, both the comp plan and start on the master plan?
Yeah, unfortunately, I would say there's not. There's only so much, obviously, that workload that staff can handle. But I think it really helps to have the kind of top-down process of looking at the broad view from the comp plan, and then have the supplementing documents of the master plan so that they support one another. And so once we finish the Crozet master plan, which was started a while ago, we're really going to have to press pause on master planning processes. And I know there's other areas that also need their plans updated, which are of a similar age as well. And there's also some other parts of the community that would like to see some small area plans done where maybe they don't have a very detailed master plan. But in order to really do the process justice and do it correctly, I think we're going to have to press pause on updating those master plans until we can work through the comp plan and get that going. So then that feeds into the master planning process.
So basically the planning process right now, we've experienced it a little bit, is using an out-of-date, a severely out-of-date master plan to make zoning decisions. How are you going to handle that? I mean, we're so far out of date.
I agree with you. There's quite a few things, but there's also just as many things that are out of date in the comprehensive plan as well. So those needs are there. They're also there in the ordinance. We're running into that pretty regularly with development review of inconsistencies between, as you mentioned, the master plans, the comprehensive plan, and the ordinance. And so we've really just got to kind of start. We're going to be assembling some pretty significant teams to try and do this. And one thing we will do with the comp plan, we don't plan to stretch this out for a 3-year process. The idea is to try and identify some key components of the comp plan, some high priority areas, and really focus on what we can accomplish in a 1-year period or so. At least that's an optimistic goal that we have, of trying to really not do a complete overhaul, but focus on those major factors so that we can get that finished and then start addressing all those master plans that are out there. Versus, I know in the past and oftentimes in the comp planning process, it's a multiple year long haul, and we're going to do our best to avoid that so that we can address those other higher needs as well in more of a timely fashion.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other, I don't see anything else. Okay,
Marty, I have my hand up. I finally figured out how to do it.
okay, go ahead, Nancy.
Charles, welcome. This is Nancy Hunt. Just curious about your background in the area of form-based code.
I've had some experience in Culpeper. Actually, they're in the process now of adopting a form-based code that we had started about a year prior to me coming here as a private sector consultant, and my background in landscape architecture, and I come from more of a physical planning background, so development and form are pretty significant. Form-based code has been around a while, so I've worked with projects in a variety of communities that had form-based code. It certainly needs to be done correctly. There's communities that have done it very well. There's communities that have done it incorrectly. I will say with the group that we have, I've been working with them pretty regularly here at the county ever since I got here, and I've been significantly impressed with the level of thoroughness that they've done in evaluating other communities and best practices, things that have worked, things haven't worked, and it's been an impressive process to watch. And we even will be engaging a peer review that's underway right now with the Form-Based Code Institute. They will also review the draft code that's been done to ensure that there aren't any missing pieces or things like that. So I've had some experience. It's not one that I haven't fully written a form-based code, but I've been exposed to it, and I've seen a variety of them over the years. And I think our staff is on the right track, that's for sure.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to acknowledge Brian McMillan. I didn't see him at first, who was also a member of our CAC. I apologize for not picking you up. Okay, our next presentation is on development dashboards, an overview of that. Andrew, I'm not going to pronounce your last name because I'm not exactly sure. So Andrew, please.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Pupil. I'm a neighborhood planner with the county. Silent K, difficult last name to pronounce a lot of the time, but I appreciate the chance to share some information about this project with you all. I'm going to share my screen real quick. I think y'all might have seen a glimpse earlier. All right, it looks like it's sharing, so hopefully everybody can see okay. This is kind of our second time sharing an update on this with you all. We're at the early 2019 joint CAC meeting we had at the county office building. When we rolled out the dashboards, you got a quick glimpse about this tool, but wanted to just provide a quick refresher about this tool that is accessible to all, and a couple updates about some projects happening in your areas. I'll spend a few minutes just talking about the dashboards, what this tool is, what this data is, and we'll have some time afterwards to talk about activity along the Route 29 corridor, and some time at the end for a Q&A from you all, if you have any questions or comments about what you've seen tonight. So what this is, what I'm going to share with you all is, for the past about 3 years, we've been collecting data about development that's active in the county, using this information about how many units are proposed in an area, where they are, where a certain project is in the development review pipeline. The pipeline being how a project moves from the beginning of conception to being completely built out and occupied at the end. We use a lot of this data for master planning work. We use it to do a residential capacity analysis every 2 years, where we essentially project out in 20 years as our comp plan builds out, how many folks will live in Albemarle County at that time, how many housing units will we have. We've started to institutionalize this data to begin to plan capital improvements accordingly. Our transportation team uses this as a metric in their transportation prioritization. So you can see for each project how it serves emerging developments and emerging needs in the county. And we also use this pretty regularly with Albemarle County Public Schools. We meet with them a couple times a year, and we share this with them as they go through their school enrollment projections. And the school's long-range planning advisory committees started to use this data and these dashboards for their long-range planning reports that they put out each year. So it's really a kind of a crystal ball into where development's happening in the county and how much of it's happening and when it will kind of come our way. The public-facing side of this tool is what we call our development dashboards. And they're accessible on the county website. I won't go through a full tutorial for how to use it all tonight, but there is a user guide available on the county website and a couple of other diagrams that might help you understand the data you're looking at. But this is really a resource for you all to understand where the projects are in your area, kind of what stage in the development review process they're at. And it's supposed to be kind of a quick resource for you all. We update it currently about twice a year after January 1st and July 1st. So it's been updated recently to reflect build out and project statuses as of July 1st. So there might already be a little bit of a lag in there, but it does try to help us keep tabs on how projects are moving through the development process and what's headed our way. I'll provide a really quick overview of the development review process in the county. And there's actually a diagram available on the county website if that's of interest to you. But it does take a little bit of time and a couple of steps to get a project completely built in Albemarle County. From the legislative review process for special use permits or rezonings, that is where you see community meetings come before you for these projects. The project will eventually move through potentially approval by the Board of Supervisors, through a detailed site design review process that includes site planning, erosion and sediment control plans, stormwater protection plans, subdivision platting, architectural review, and so on. A pretty wide range of technical reviews by staff to ensure compliance with county codes and ordinances. And that's really where the design is nailed down. After these site plans are approved, we do start to move into building permits being issued, actual buildings being built and developed. You see the dirt moving on the site. And finally, we finally count a project as completely completed and built out after the certificate of occupancy for that building or that development is issued, meaning that the project's inhabitable, it's ready to open, and there's, in a development, for example, all the houses are built out, it's all finished up there. So this is kind of a broad reference for you just to help understand the different stages on the dashboard, because the actual process looks something like this. There are a couple more steps, a couple more moving parts, and that's available for your review. I will not go through that right now. But again, this is just an attempt to really help share out the information with you all about the different projects happening in your area and how they're moving through the process. Tonight we'll do a quick kind of study small areas in the 29 North Corridor. We know that Places 29 is a fairly huge comprehensive planning area for Albemarle County. The area is all of different sizes and kind of different nature of activity. I'll share that in the first half of 2020, first and second quarter. By my estimate, about 121 dwelling units came on in the 29 North area along the entire corridor, and this includes a number of single-family detached townhouses and an apartment complex that did come online during this time. There's a pretty sizable amount of development that's currently that's been approved or started to be constructed. A pretty large chunk of this is multifamily housing, and in this case, a couple projects makes up a large chunk of the actual numbers in the development pipeline. But I'll emphasize again that all the development in this pipeline is absorbed over a period of years. It takes years for these projects to build out, and we do use this to help track when we expect a project to come online, how soon we need to be thinking about school planning, capital planning, and so on in the county. We'll quickly walk through a couple of other areas in this area. That we'll probably start with Stonefield, kind of at the southern end of Route 29, work our way along the Rayo Road corridor and up into the northern area near Hollymead and Brook Hill. Just kind of a couple of major projects that are happening and some recent developments, recent projects that might have come your way in the past couple months. So I'll turn it over to Michaela to provide a quick update about the hydraulic area.
Thanks, Andrew. So I'm providing an update on this area since I work with the hydraulic CAC as the staff liaison. And Stonefield is one of the major developments in the hydraulic area. There's a 160 unit apartment that was approved in Stonefield Block D2, as well as a 234 unit building that's under review in Block D1. It might be hard to see on your screens, but those reference the areas, and you can look at the map that we emailed out previously. Also of note is there are the Commonwealth apartments in light blue. And at the top of your screen that are under construction, there's 22 two-bedroom units there. And not shown on the screen, but might be of note to this group, the Hydraulic CAC had a community meeting last month for a special use permit for the Boys and Girls Club, which is a proposal for a community center, and that's currently under review. And the school board submitted a revised location for that on July 9th. So that is undergoing review, and wanted to mention that as well.
Can everyone hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry about the technical difficulties earlier. I'll just give a brief overview of what's happening in the Rayo CAC area. A lot of the development we've seen in the past 6 months has been build out or further build out of ongoing projects. We've seen some completion of units in Belvedere. 24 units came online. We saw 65 units completed in the lofts at Meadow Creek. The center at Belvedere was completed in March, as many of you know, on the CAC. And then Eco Village is moving its way through our site planning process. That is under final site plan review right now. I know most of you are aware of the Parkway Place rezoning that was recently deferred at the Board of Supervisors. I think there's one more slide that covers the next area for us, which is the Rayo 29 area. We haven't seen a whole lot of development activity in this area. One thing I will point out is the Greenfield Terrace apartment rezoning process. That had been deferred for, I would say, about 9 months or so. That has been reactivated. The applicant has come back with a resubmittal of that. So that is back under review in our office. So we might see that one progress forward to Planning Commission and Board soon. And that's all I had for mine.
Alrighty, and this is back to me. This is the Places 29 North area. As many of you know, Brook Hill is a major development project in the area. And several blocks are under construction. You probably noticed that 4A and 4B, which are along 29 North or Route 29 and visible from the road, include a total of 216 units that are multifamily. And 8A is also under construction and will contain a 4-story assisted living facility with 179 beds. Several blocks you can see in the orange are under review and have proposed developments, including an ice rink, more multifamily units, and single family attached units. So there's a lot happening in Brook Hill. And additionally on the screen, you can see Monu Park with the orange outline is a legislative application that's proposing to extend its operations with additional fields and hours of operation. Also on the north top of the screen, Rst Residences is a rezoning that was recently submitted, and we had a community meeting this past Monday. A couple of people, I think, here were in attendance at that. And if you're interested in learning more, we have the community meeting recorded online, and you can submit additional comments or questions to the lead reviewer. So that's an application that's currently under review. And then here, Hollymead is another major development project. The Town Center C area is an application that is proposing to increase the allowable square footage for a commercial building. There's also additional townhouses proposed in that area. Hotel, Comfort Inn and Suites is under construction. And Berkmar Drive Apartments had permits issued at the end of June for 261 units in 10 buildings. So there's a lot going on in this area. And if you all have more specific questions, I might have to get back to you via email, but we'll try our best here to answer any questions that you have. Thanks, Andrew. I don't know if you want to close us out.
I think we have some time for questions and answers if you have any questions about this. Like Michaela said, I think that if you want detailed information about a project, we might need to follow up with you about that, or you're certainly welcome to access the dashboards at this link and try to find it yourself. But if you have any high-level questions for us right now or about the methods, we're happy to answer that at this time.
Okay, I see 2 hands. Cynthia? You want to ask a question? I'll have to.
Yeah, I just have a quick question about, I didn't see North Point, an update on where we are with North Point and all the development. I mean, that's a huge site and obviously a lot of construction is going on. Are they done? I mean, do we know how many? Is that them?
North Point is currently working through, I believe, site design review, getting the final site plans approved. I know there is some grading happening out there. And let me I have some notes on that project. I think there are about 365 dwellings and site design review in North Point right now. And also note too that this is kind of, when I go through this process, it relies on data that's available in our development tracking system. So it's not always most up to date, but these projects do have a number of different applications going through. But there are currently about 365 units with North Point that are going through that site plan review process.
Okay. Kim Swanson, please.
Hi. On the hydraulic map, if we could go back to that detailed level, is that AutoZone plan, is that with the UVA Foundation doing the review? Have they been the ones to put in that design review? Or how is that being moved along?
I'm not familiar with UVA Foundation being involved, but I can check on that. I think given its location along Route 29, it's within the entrance corridor overlay district. So it's reviewed by the Architectural Review Board. So I'm not sure, does that help answer your question a little bit? But
I think we had been, our group had at one point been told that there was going to be a drive-through that the foundation was looking to put in there. And one of the questions that we had was whether a traffic study was going to be done for that area, just to get a better understanding about the flow of traffic coming through the neighborhood just behind that. As it stands, we already have a lot of tractor trailers that park on that road, and which is not desirable. And so if there's any way we could get a better understanding about what their proposals are for traffic flow in that corridor, that would be ideal.
I can jump in a little bit about this. I just pulled it up in our development system. This property was formerly owned by the UVA Foundation, as you mentioned, Kim. It looks like it was sold in March and is now owned by AutoZone Development, LLC. And it looks like the site history, there was a proposal prior that did include a drive-through. I'm not sure about the access management for this proposal that might be available through the dashboard. You can usually find a link to the site plan, but it is about a almost 7,000 square foot commercial retail building on that site that will be an option, but I don't know about the access at that point. But since it goes through our site review process, it likely would not trigger a traffic study at this point. But I believe they would still have to meet VDOT standards for entrance locations and so on during the site review. And VDOT's involved in the review and would weigh in on their design.
Okay, Kim, you okay? Or you're muted now?
I got unmuted somehow. Would AutoZone LLC then be invited to come and make a presentation to our CAC? Would that be the way that would work as well? So we could ask those kinds of questions of them?
I think since they're in the site design review phase, there's not a community meeting requirement. at this point, so that's not something that we can, as county staff, require of them. If the CAC wants to take another approach in terms of outreach to ask the developer, property owner, I assume that's an option for you all, just like normal speakers that you reach out to.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Andrew, I think we're through. You have nothing more, so why don't you, great, back. Okay, so I'll ask,
Bill Love has his hand up.
I'm sorry, who?
Bill Love.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch it. Okay, Bill, go
I
ahead.
have a question about the development. It was on that last slide up in the left-hand corner, the Georgetown professional offices. I just wanted to know what was going on there since it's right near me. I'd like to know a little more about it.
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Doing a real quick search of our system, try to find the details and a summary of that project right now. I believe this is the same project. It was approved a number of years ago as a zoning at that corner, and I think it's just now starting to move through site plan review. It looks like there's just about 13,550 square foot professional office building at that corner of the southwest corner of Georgetown Road and Hydraulic Road. I don't have a whole lot of information about site design, but we can follow up with the site plan at that stage. But it would be a professional office building, I think, oriented fairly close to that corner intersection with parking behind, I believe.
There's no parking garage or anything like that. It's surface parking.
I believe so, based on, I haven't looked at that application in a while, but I can double check, but I'm fairly certain it's just surface parking.
Okay, Bill, you're all set? Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to our last presenter, Kevin McDermott, who is going to present the status of a variety of traffic activities, transportation activities in our area. Kevin?
We can't hear you.
Sorry, Eric, I believe you can all see my presentation there. I am going to walk you through some of our more active transportation projects that are going on in the Places 29 development areas. And these are the ones that are really, that have actual things going on. And I know there's a lot of projects that we've talked about in the area. If we get through this presentation, we can maybe discuss some of those if you have other questions about projects that I didn't mention. But these are really the ones that have active things going on. So once again, my name is Kevin McDermott. I'm the principal planner of transportation. Dan Butch is also on the line. He's our senior planner with transportation. If you all have follow-up questions after that, you're welcome to contact either of us with those. And I know you've worked with Dan and he can answer other questions, projects that maybe I can't. Moving on, I'm going to start by going to our first group of projects. I know you all received the map and list of projects that we're going to be talking about ahead of this meeting. So you may have seen this just in case you can't see everything that I'm going to be pulling up on the screen. But first, we're going to talk about the projects that are currently under construction. And the one I want to bring to your attention first is the Lewis and Clark Drive extension to Airport Road that includes a shared use path. This is a project that's being developed by the EA Foundation. They're building this on their own, but it will be a public road, and it connects from the current stub out up there at Lewis and Clark Drive in the middle of their campus, and it's going to build a new road all the way down Airport Road right by the fire station. This is actually really close to being complete. I think they're thinking this is going to be opening up in the next month or so, at least as a private road, and then it's going to be turned over to the public shortly after, but the public will be able to access it once it's open. The next project is the Polo Grounds Road Route 29 intersection improvements. This is being done also by a private developer in relationship to the Brook Hill development. As you know, there's been some work out there. I think they're actually really close to having all that work completed, but wanted to bring that also to your attention. And the next project that we have under construction currently is down there on Rayo. It's the Greenbrier Drive Rayo Road pedestrian crosswalk. As you all may recall, it was a NIFI project that was decided on by the Places 29 Rayo CAC as something they wanted to move forward with. And that is expected to be completed in early September. Moving on to the projects that are currently in design right now. The first one is the Lewis and Clark Drive Route 29 intersection R-cut. This is being done by the private developer of North Point. And one thing I want to point out, when the projects are done by the private developer, it's really hard for us as county staff to know exactly what the timeline is, because it's all being done by private development, and we can't really influence that. So we're not exactly sure that we had been moving through approvals with this one, but we're not exactly sure when they're going to be ready to actually go under construction with it. So this would, as you all may know, our cuts restrict crossings of the main road so that you have to make a right turn to come out of the secondary streets and go the opposite direction you would want to, and then make a U-turn to come back. It's something that we're seeing a lot more often, and I think we're going to see a whole bunch of them on Route 29 throughout Albemarle County and north through Greene County. And the reason is because it really improves operations and also safety. So that's something that you're going to see up there at Lewis and Clark Drive sometime in the future. Berkmar Drive to Rayo Road. That is a project that was funded through Smart Scale a number of years back, and it is going to be going under construction starting this fall. And the connection, it's a new road that would connect between Rayo Mills over to the new Berkmar extension. It's going to include a shared use. And actually what they're doing on that is they're going to kind of reroute Rayo Mills so that the direct movement will be, if you're heading south on Rayo Mills, you'll just kind of curve around and go straight into Berkmar there. And if you had wanted to stay on Rayo Mills, the unpaved portion, then you would have to make a turn to get onto that unpaved portion of Rayo Mills. So it's really going to look different up there. The next project is the Commonwealth Drive Dominion Drive sidewalks. This project was funded through revenue sharing grant a number of years back also. The proposal is to construct sidewalks from Hydraulic Road all the way up to Dominion Drive on Commonwealth, and then from Commonwealth to Route 29 on Dominion. We have just started working with a consultant on the design of this. I will be involving the CACs to kind of look at some of our alternatives and make sure that you are aware and get your feedback on those projects as they're moving along. But we just started on that, and I think that's going to be a great project to improve the pedestrian facilities out in that area. The next project is the Albemarle High School to Greer Elementary School, Jewett Middle School campus shared use path. Once again, this was a NIFI project that the Places 29 hydraulic CAC wanted to move forward with. We also received some additional funding through a transportation alternatives grant, and that construction is supposed to happen this fall. What it's going to do is create new pedestrian and bike facilities that take you from hydraulic all the way along Lambs Road and Lambs Lane back to the school campuses in the back there. Moving on with projects, it's also in design. We have the extension of the John Warner Parkway shared use path from the current end near Belvedere Boulevard around to connect to the existing path on Belvedere in front of the center at Belvedere. This is once again being done by a private developer, so we don't know what the exact schedule is on that. But it has been an approved rezonings, and I believe they've now submitted the site plan on that. I think Nicole Scrow is here, and she is actually the developer on that. So or you could reach out to her if we have more questions about the timing on that one. The next project is the Berkmar Drive shared use path extension. And this is from Hilton Heights Drive to Rayo Road. As you know, Hilton Heights Drive in Berkmar is where the project to extend Berkmar began. Shared use path that goes all the way from Hollymead down to Hilton Heights and then ends. So what we've done with this project is to extend that shared use path all the way down to Rayo Road on the same side as the current shared use path. That was received revenue sharing grant funds a number of years ago. We have once again just hired a consultant to begin the design. We will be reaching out to the CAC in the area to present some ideas and get feedback on what we're looking at there. But we're really excited about that project as well, and to extend that shared use path and really improve bike ped facilities in the area. The final one on this page is the Raya Road pedestrian improvements. And this is something that has been ongoing for a long time. I know it was awarded funding, I think 4 years ago through a revenue sharing grant. And really what it's doing is constructing new sidewalk on Rayo Road from the John Warner Parkway intersection all the way around to Dunlora Forest, where there's an existing sidewalk. It's putting in a crosswalk there at Penn Park Drive, or I'm sorry, Penn Park Road, and then also extending the sidewalk south from there down to Treesdale. We're expecting construction to begin this winter on that and finish up in the early spring next year. We've also got a few applications that we've submitted for funding to the state to try and move some projects forward. And those include the Berkmar Drive extension to Airport Road. As I mentioned, we have the Lewis and Clark extension that brings you down to Airport Road, but as those folks that have been up there know, currently Berkmar doesn't make it all the way up to Airport Road. There's a stub out there just north of, I believe that's Town Center there, where it ends. And what we're trying to do with this project is continue that all the way up to Airport Road, where it'll be at an intersection with what has been known as Innovation Drive, and construct a roundabout there at that intersection as well. So that'll really complete that entire parallel network from Lewis and Clark Drive all the way down to Rayo Road along that Berkmar corridor. So it's going to be a really important alternative and really help the operations throughout the northern area. That will also have bike ped facilities along with it. And just to clarify, these applications for funding were submitted last year. Typically, in a normal year, we would have already learned whether or not they were going to get funded. However, because of COVID, the state has delayed announcements on those. So I think they're expecting to let us know possibly this fall whether or not these projects that are on this page, this slide, are going to get funded. But of course, we never know what's going on with the atmosphere we're in today with COVID. So hopefully soon, though. The next project that we have already submitted an application for funding for is a Route 29 shared use path. This is on the east side of Route 29 from Carsbrook Drive down to Seminole Lane, which is that little road that kind of parallels 29 just south of the Rivanna River. The idea behind this, we'd originally tried to connect that all the way across the river, so that it met up with the VDOT project where they extended their shared use path along the side of 29. But because the difficulty getting across the river and extending it with the bridge, we had to break it up into 2 projects. So we're trying to get this piece done, and we hope to go back in the future after this is complete, or at least after it's funded, and make that connection from the south side of the river up to the north, so that you would have that continued use path all along there. And that is it was submitted for Smart Scale once. We are resubmitting that because it did not get funded the first time we submitted it. So that'll be submitted this round of Smart Scale, and we would learn about funding for that next spring generally. Another project that we've submitted for funding is actually a planning study for Route 29 transit study. This is something that the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission has submitted a grant for with the Department of Rail and Public Transit. And it's really evaluating transit throughout the 29 corridor in Albemarle County. So it goes from Hollymead all the way down into the city. I think we'll probably work with the city to make sure that that would extend down all the way to the university. But we are excited about that kind of feasibility study to see how we can improve transit throughout that entire corridor. And now I'm going to move into some of the projects that we've been working on through planning and are hoping to move forward into funding in the future, but some other things that are going on. These are projects that we've really prioritized and have done some planning for, but we have not started seeking funding for yet. And the first ones that I'm going to go over are the ones for the Rayo 29 small area plan projects. I know a lot of you folks were involved in that Rayo 29 small area plan. We have a lot of recommendations that came out of that for connectivity improvements, and some of the we have on that include the Hillsdale Realignment Phase 1, which would realign Hillsdale from Mall Drive up to Rayo Road near Putt-Putt, where Putt-Putt currently comes in, and construct a roundabout there. Phase 2 of that Hillsdale realignment, which would connect it from where it ends near Mall Drive down to Hillsdale, actually, so that you would no longer have to cross over on Mall Drive to get to it. And then the Phase 3, which brings it from Rayo Road up to Gardens Boulevard there through the Albemarle Square Shopping Center. Another project that's highly prioritized in the county is the Rayo Road Berkmar intersection. This is another one that came out of the Rayo 29 small area plan, with a proposal being for a roundabout at that location. And then also you can see the screenshot from the Northtown Trail plan there. And that is, the idea is to connect a pedestrian crossing over Route 29 so that people can get from the Berkmar shared use path over to say the Albemarle Square development and that area. And I'll also point out that you see on a lot of these slides that we have priority rankings. Every other year, I go back to the Board of Supervisors with a prioritized list of the projects that have been recommended in various plans. And we use sort of a methodology that looks at the things like land use and safety and congestion, and comes up with a priority ranking for all those projects. So that's what you're seeing in those priorities right there next to the project names in this list. The next group of projects is what we're looking at for the Rayo Road corridor study. I know the folks in the Rayo CAC have been very actively involved in trying to generate interest in starting this Rayo Road corridor study, and we are now really close to moving forward or kicking something off for that. There's a lot of projects that are going on in that corridor, and we've what we're trying to do now is look at all the issues, all the needs we have on that corridor, and identify the appropriate improvements that would address those needs and make sure that we can prioritize those needs, and show you a little closer picture of that so you can see there's a lot of different projects, as I said, that we're going to be looking at here. They include the Rayo Road Belvedere intersection improvements, the Rayo Road John Warner Parkway intersection improvements, Rayo Road Penn Park Road intersection improvements, and then bicycle and pedestrian improvements really along the whole corridor of Rayo Road. So these are things that we are looking for the corridor plan to kind of tease out what the recommendations are for that and how we can move forward into being an implementation for them. And also we have the 29 solutions hydraulic projects, and these are actually projects that we are submitting for funding grants in this round of Smart Scale also. So they are moving forward, but I kind of pulled them out separately because there was a separate planning process that was done for those. And I'll just walk you through, oops, I think oh, this is the one I wanted to show you, sorry about that. The hydraulic road 29 solutions projects that we are applying for in grants right now. I'll kind of walk you through this so you can see it, because I know these are, these can be a little bit confusing, but we have a package of improvements that we're submitting for a grant altogether. We actually have about $18 million already to put towards these projects, but we're trying to add some additional funding to make sure we can get them all done. But what these include are a new transit stop just up here on the north side of the Stonefield development. And that'll also include a pedestrian overpass over 29 connected to those transit stops, and also then connected to the greater bicycle and pedestrian network in this area. That's one piece of the package. The next piece is that we want to remove left turns coming from both sides of hydraulic onto 29. So you will no longer be able to make a left going this direction directly. We are, instead of making that kind of left, we are also looking to fund a roundabout right here at the corner of Hydraulic and Hillsdale in front of the Whole Foods. And so instead of making that left directly, you would go through there, go around the roundabout, come back and make a right. Of course, alternatively, depending on where you need to go and where you're coming from, there's plenty of other routes to be able to get up here. Of course, we've got going through Stonefield or going directly up Hillsdale is other options, but that's one way you could make that movement. And then if you were heading the opposite direction and say you wanted to make a left, you would make a right, and there'll be a new U-turn location up here where they could make that U-turn and come back down and head south. Once again, there's lots of other ways you can make this movement. You could stay on the bypass, the 250 bypass, and come in this direction. Or there's other ways you can get across there, but that is one way you could go through and come back. Another piece of this package is that over here at Angus, they are trying to reconfigure that intersection to make it what they call a green T. And what a green T does, it's really a protected left turn lane. So if you wanted to, if the only movement that would be effective would be if you wanted to come out of Angus and make a left, instead of having to stop all the northbound traffic on 29, you would be able to allow traffic moving north to continue through a green light, and you would stop the southbound traffic, and this traffic would go into a protected left turn and then merge with the northbound traffic. So that's the other piece of that hydraulic package that we're submitting. Altogether, these projects are around $28 million. And like I said, we have about 18 million already to spend on that, but we're really excited about that package. And then a second application from the 29 Solutions projects that we are going to be making is a city project, but I wanted to bring it to your attention because it would make a big difference out here and it's so close to the county, is to extend Hillsdale south. This is essentially coming off that roundabout that I talked about earlier. It would extend Hillsdale south behind the Kroger there and bring you down to, I believe that's still called Angus right here, but you could get back out to Angus, and it would also make a new right turn off of to the 250 bypass, or right turn off of Hillsdale onto the 250 bypass. So that would remove these ramps so that we would no longer have to have those. You would be able to make that movement by getting on and off here, and it would also allow people to just go straight through that. So that's a city project, but I think it would also have a lot of impacts to county residents. The next group of projects that I just wanted to point out to you, because we do have these prioritized as well, is looking at the Rivanna River Greenway, the South Fork of the Rivanna River. This is really up there between Still Meadow and Belvedere and all along the southern part of Brook Hill. But I'll go to the next slide so you can see it a little better. The idea here, and this came out of the Northtown Trail plan that was approved a number of years ago, was to build a greenway along this area of the Rivanna River. Of course, there are a lot of trails up there right now that are used for recreation, but we'd like to make something that also could address some of the transportation needs. And we're looking at a feasibility study right now. It's being led by the Parks and Rec Department, but once again, we'll be involving the local communities to get some feedback on and some ideas on this. But the idea would be to have a shared use path that could connect from the Brook Hill River Park all the way along the river. There'd have to be a bridge crossing at some point and get you over to where Still Meadow currently connects and bring you back down around into Belvedere. Of course, we also have plans to build a shared use path through the Belvedere development also. So really, this would be the final piece of what we call the Northtown Trail that starts all the way down in the city, right by the Albemarle County office building, goes up John Warner Parkway, all the way out to Belvedere, and then connects up and goes all the way up to the northern development areas of Hollymead. It would be a great resource for the region. So we're looking at this final piece right now under a feasibility study, and there'll be more information on that coming shortly. Oh, so I did a lot of talking there, and now I'd love to hear your comments or questions. I think we still have quite a bit of time to go through anything, and happy to do what I can to answer questions.
Okay, let me get back out participants. I don't see any hands up yet.
Mine's up.
Okay,
Mine's
Lee.
up too.
Okay, go ahead, Lee.
All right, Kevin, what's the rationale behind the realignment of Hillsdale Road? They're near Rayo. I don't see anything wrong with it the way it is. Why would you want to change it?
Well, for a couple reasons. One is that this area, for one, where Hillsdale currently comes out at Road, is actually one of our most dangerous intersections all of Albemarle County. The accident at that place where there's two signals right next to each other, I think if you've gone through the corridor a lot, it causes a lot of problems. So trying to reduce traffic at that intersection, and possibly, because I think a lot of people that are heading north on Hillsdale actually then want to get back over to some of the development adjacent to 29 over there. So it's trying to keep those people from going out of their way over to that currently dangerous intersection and moving them over to this. The current Hillsdale would not go away. The current Hillsdale would still continue to cut over right here. It's just that this would provide a second opportunity. But realistically, what the other great benefit to this is we're trying to activate the Rayo 29 area. That was really part of the purpose of the Rayo 29 small area plan, is to really turn that into a new place, a new kind of town center area. So being able to have better connectivity, which we currently do not have in this area, we think is going to be a real benefit to that. We also have the area along 29 or along Rayo right in front of like the inter-mall connector across Rayo. That signalized intersection right there is problematic, as well as the Putt-Putt Place one. We've got other development that might happen in there. So those are kind of the reasons behind that project.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now I see the hands up. I'm learning how to use this. Bill Lowe, next.
Yes, I'm very interested in what's going on at 29 hydraulic intersection because I live just up the street. I'm glad there's going to be, you're talking about a pedestrian overpass there, because I see people running across 29 near that intersection all the time, taking their life into their hands. So that's a plus. I'm not so sure though on the elimination of the left turns, why that's being done. Those work reasonably well. I make those turns all the time. And then there's this question. I remember initially when they were talking about that intersection, this is even before they did the overpass at Rayo in 29, they were saying, well, after that's done, we're going to do another overpass at hydraulic in 29, and that's going to be even more complicated because it has to tie into the 250 overpass. Has that idea been dropped, I hope?
Yes, essentially what you see here is the result of the problematic off-grade intersection that was originally proposed. I know Diantha's been very involved in this through the hydraulic 29 Solutions hydraulic planning panel, but you're right, that overpass that they were going to do there, I think in this case they were going to bring Rayo over, so the opposite of, they were going to bring 29 over hydraulic, so the opposite of what you see at the Rayo interchange. What was the proposal? We made a application for that in the last round of Smart Scale, and it failed really bad, mostly because the cost of that project, I think that off-grade intersection alone was around $80 million or somewhere in that vicinity. It was really difficult to do, and we just could not get the funding. So what they've done is they went back and reevaluated, and they tried to find a cheaper alternative to address the problems. So the reason that we look at removing that left turn, you can make that left turn easily, but the problem is that it takes so much time out of the signals for all the other movements, allow those left turns. So by removing that, it allows us to put a lot more signal time to the 29 and hydraulic road through movements, and would allow the operations to greatly increase there. And just because of the fact that those movements aren't that heavy, especially now that we have so many other alternatives, that was what we thought was the best option for that.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Diane, I saw you're next, so go ahead.
Thank you very much. Kevin, this is a great presentation. I just want to thank you. And it's a good review for even me. So you're doing a great job. I really appreciate it. I just had a quick question. So the hydraulic CAC supported and really pushed forward the sidewalk project over on the Lambs Lane campus. And now, of course, as everybody knows, the Boys and Girls Club is going to be shifted from the location behind Jack Jewett to the driving range. I just want to make sure that somebody is paying attention to that sidewalk project because of the relocation of the Boys and Girls Club. And I had another question. I have not heard whether or not the ad alts came in on that sidewalk project when we put it out to bid, because that one of the ad alts was connecting Loaves and Fishes, providing a better access to Loaves and Fishes. And I was just wondering if I don't know where that all stands.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm not sure. I'll have to get in touch with the project manager on that to find out what happened with the adults. I'm hoping. I don't know if those did get in or not. I'm not even actually sure if they've finalized that advertisement contract yet. So they, in that case, they wouldn't know if we are able to afford the alternates that we put in that bid. So I'll have to check with the project manager to make sure. But I will also, I wasn't actually aware that the Boys and Girls Club had been relocated, unless that was something that had happened a number of months ago. Maybe it was the place that I had thought it was. But I'll take a look at that, and I will make sure that we are coordinating that relocation of Boys and Girls Club with the with the shared use path.
And of course, that was a vote by the school board, so you would not maybe, but we just want to make sure we're connecting our projects from what the school board's doing and what we're doing. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll make sure I follow up with those. Thank you.
That's great.
Okay, Daniel Bailey, you're next.
Hey, Kevin, thanks for this presentation. It's great. My question actually is on this slide here. I'm kind of curious with the city project and the removal of the ramps that goes, that was funneling traffic to equivalent, 4-lane road there, 8-lane road there, to this proposed Hillsdale connection that, as it stands now, is a 2-lane road. And just any concerns from the county on, pushing a lot of traffic on a smaller road. And this plan, I guess that's kind of my concern. Even the removal of the left-hand lane there is that puts a lot of stress on Hillsdale. That's a 2-lane road.
Well, we think that there's going to be a lot of split of the traffic when you get to this spot. So a lot of people will go directly out to 29, and to actually accomplish that, they're going to make the movement from the bypass out to 29 right here is going to be the free flow movement. So you won't have to stop to make this left-hand turn. People coming this direction that want to go left would have to stop, or people coming this direction would have to stop. So really they're just, it's sort of like they're realigning the ramps so that instead of hitting right down here, it's going to hit up in this area. That's really what we're seeing here. And then that's going to be a right or left only turn, or I'm sorry, a right out only. So you can only head northbound on that. And that's going to really allow us to keep that Agnes signal from blocking up the traffic on 29 in this area, or Emmett Street. I don't know where it exactly turns, but so really I think what we're considering is this is just a realignment. But right now we don't see a lot of traffic on Hillsdale, and we've got that brand new road that's going up there, and we're hoping that this will sort of activate that. And also with roundabout that we're expecting to put in, that would remove that signal there and allow all the movements in that area to happen a lot better. So this was a project that's been planned very heavily by the localities and VDOT, and they've done a lot of modeling on this. And actually, I think some of the modeling, a lot of that is probably available. We might be able to share it with you all, but the VDOT does believe that that's not going to cause any major problems with the traffic flow.
Great, thanks.
The next person is Cynthia Neff.
Yeah, I just had a quick question, and it's a great presentation, Kevin. You do good work. But I remember when we had all of these Places 29 hydraulic conversations, that one of the things we talked about was an overpass at, what is it, Zan Road, or, that would go across. Did you say that's still on board, or did I miss it?
No, that was another project that was removed.
It died?
That's not included in this package, but they did include the bike ped overpass, which was the part of the purpose of the Zan overpass was to address the pedestrian connectivity across 29. So they are doing that piece along with the with this package, but the vehicular crossing is no longer part of this.
Wow. Okay, thanks.
Okay, John Neal next. John?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. I had two questions, Kevin. Although the city portion that we're talking about, is in the city, and obviously everything else is in the county. Will they be analyzed and graded in the same package together, or can part of this be approved by this, in the city package and the county package? Is all or one or all together or none?
These two projects have been separated into two separate applications. So everything you see on this screen, which is the hydraulic improvements, is one submission that'll all be scored together. And then this one over here is going to be a separate submission that would be scored separately. I will also add that this Hillsdale piece is a long shot. It's a very expensive project. And the 18 million is all going to this package. None of that is going to this to help offset the cost. And of course, in Smart Scale, that's a cost benefit analysis. So the higher your cost, the lower your score generally.
So the city, to be clear,
long shot, but we wanted to do it anyway.
The city's the long shot, the city piece?
The city is the long shot, yes.
And then just to clarify on the ZAN and pedestrian and all that stuff, and the bus crossing, if I'm looking at this, the white building that's right next, that's just to the right of the pedestrian crossing, is that the car wash?
The car wash is right there. I think there's also an office building. I think that might be an office building, and the car wash is sort of right here on the corner.
So it's slightly north of ZAN. So it's above ZAN.
Correct. Yeah, this is ZAN that you see right here.
Right. Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, Kim Swanson, please.
Yeah, so the other set of improvements that I thought had been considered, and these might also have been part of the city, was I thought there were plans to do something at Cedar Hill Drive off of Hydraulic, just by the Regal, the IMAX, and Englewood. Was there, and I don't see that as being part of that.
I'm sorry, I don't think, the IMAX, is that the theater that's in?
Yes, so right on Hydraulic, to get in and out of the Englewood area, which could be the city, you have to turn only right.
Yeah.
I don't think you can't go across.
That's correct.
And I thought that there had been plans to make improvements to those intersections as part of the previous package.
Yeah, there was a recommendation in that package, and those are no longer included in this, but in that other package, there was a recommendation for a roundabout right there at that intersection. I think this is District, correct? That goes through Stonefield.
That could have been at the District point, but Englewood is also kind of a troublesome area too.
You weren't seeing my cursor there, but yes, okay. There was I think this is District right on the west side of the IMAX. Is that correct? Am I right in that?
Yes, I think that's true.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so there was a proposed original hydraulic plan to put a roundabout at that location. That's not something that we're saying we're no longer going to do ever, but it has been removed from this package of projects. It's something we'd have to look at separately. And I think with that roundabout, that would have addressed a lot of those problems that you would now be able to go either way, in or off that city road. I guess this is Englewood, if that's what you were talking about there. But that would open that area up, but it's not part of this project.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Deantha, please.
Just very quickly, Kate Acuff, my school board representative, let me know that while the school board has talked about the relocating the Boys and Girls Club, their official vote is in August. So Kevin, I don't want to get too far ahead. I guess I was so excited about the change that I got ahead of myself. But we do need to follow it. So I apologize for the information that is yet to come.
Okay. We have, let me see. So your hand is down now, Deanna. So I don't see any more hands up. We have one public person.
Hey, Marty, B is trying to raise her hand, but she's doing it the old-fashioned way.
Who?
B is trying to raise her hand.
Okay.
She's doing it the old-fashioned way.
Go ahead, B.
I'm sorry, I put in under chat, but I still wasn't recognized. So thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate that. A quick question, and I'm glad Diantha addressed that issue because yes, the school board's they're gonna vote in August regarding but it's hopefully will go through. It's on the consent calendar. So I wanted to ask, coming from 29, going west, Kevin, where would someone turn left if they wanted to go south on 29, coming from 250 west?
Oh, okay, so if they wanted to go on, if they were on hydraulic through this part, going through the city, past Hillsdale, how would they make a left?
Yes.
A U-turn location.
Okay.
North that they would be able to use for that.
Okay, so if you're coming from 250, going
Yes.
west.
I'm sorry, in which, are you talking about the city package of the Hillsdale extension or on the hydraulic?
No, near Angus. So if you're on 250, instead of turning right onto hydraulic, you're heading west on 250.
Mm-hmm.
You turn left to go onto 29 south.
Well, currently, actually under both of these, you still use the current configuration. So it's not shown on here, it's below here, but you go over the overpass and then you make that left turn against the traffic is the predominant way people make that movement currently.
Okay, and is that the one in front of Best Buy? Because I thought that was a right turn only unless you turn right and then make a U-turn.
No, if you're on 250, you make a left across the west or eastbound 250 traffic and then get on that ramp that drops you off close to the Bodos, if you know where I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Okay, you'd have
the one you were talking about, or am
I see, yes, okay.
Yeah, that would still be.
That would still be, okay.
Condition.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have one public. I'd like to try to get her in. I don't know how to do that. Carolyn, can you?
Yes, Catherine, if you'd like to speak, all you need to do is unmute yourself and you can speak now.
Oh, I'm sorry. My attention drifted a minute. So are we talking about the Boys and Girls Club?
I'm sorry. Repeat that again. Are we talking about what?
The Boys and Girls Club. I don't know. No.
Is that Kate? This is Cynthia. Yeah, we just did, but.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So, but go ahead. Mention whatever you can remember.
No. That was why I had my hand raised before, and Diantha and B have addressed it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. I have one question, but I want to make sure everybody else does. I want to use Chairman's prerogative. Kevin, can you guess which question I'm going to ask? I'm going to ask you about the sidewalk.
Guess the general area you're going to ask about.
Yeah. The sidewalk, which was supposed to have been done in 2019. And the last time I checked with you, it had one right-of-way, which was a paper right-of-way to complete. And then there was going to be a site survey and a contract. How did we get from that to middle of next year? Who knows now? Middle of next year. Why is it taking so long?
There's no easy answer for that, but it really is the right-of-way process that is very troublesome to do. And I can't remember exactly which property is the one that we were still struggling with, but we have problems such as, one of the major things that I know was holding a lot of this up is when a bank holds the loan on a property, it's very difficult for us to get the bank signatures to authorize the right-of-way acquisition of that property. And I know that was something that held it up for a long time, and they don't work on our schedule, and we can't force them to really. We have to keep reaching out to them and trying to get them to participate with us. So that's really, I think what was the holdup. But I do think at this point I'm sorry, this isn't the piece that has that. We are still expecting to go to construction on that this winter and then have it complete this spring.
How can we get a little bit better visibility that the right-of-way has been solved? I mean, this is real. I mean, we have people walking down our community on that road all the time. It's not a great system. It's not exactly safe, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
We're either walking on people's property or walking on the street with a very narrow shoulder. So it's how can we at least get to the point where we see that we've taken that step on the right of way? This has been used for months now.
Yeah. The best I can do is I will contact the project manager on that and verify exactly where we are with that right of way and what we need to do. Of course, once we have finalized that right of way, that's when we need to, we'll have to advertise for construction contractor and get them hired. And that process, of course, still takes another month and a half to walk through. So that's, even if we did have right of way, if we just got it, that's probably what that additional time period is to bring us to the winter time or late fall. I'm saying winter because I think that I might be giving us a little bit of a buffer. There's a chance we could have that started in the fall. But I will say, and I apologize that project has taken so long. It's actually grouped together with 3 sidewalk projects.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the only one that's dealing with those issues. There's a project on Avon and there's a project out in Crozet that are all on that same package, and they're all waiting just the same as this one. But what I want to say is that we've learned a lot of lessons about how to deal with these situations, and I think we will be able to improve that process for future projects. I don't have a great answer for you. I apologize, but we are pushing it as hard as we can.
Okay, thank you. I know that you've got a lot of stuff on your mind all the time. So does anybody else have any final questions for Kevin? Okay. I am ready to adjourn the meeting on behalf of the Rayo CAC, Cynthia.
And on behalf of the Hydraulic CAC, we are gone, bye. Done.
So thank you. It's been really very informative. Everybody stay safe and stay cool if they can.
Hey, Marty?
Yes.
I have one question that's new issue would have been Ned. Diantha is here. Let me quickly put it on the table. The North Side Library is making a valiant effort to provide books. However, the hold system on the website is very difficult to figure out. And once you do, then you have to sit in line for a good long time in hot weather in your car to get to the window to get your book. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know whether it's a process that could be improved. If we had a vaccine, but this is probably going to go on for another 6 months to a year. So I think it's worth addressing.
So B is on too. So you have 2 of us. So we'll take a look at it and see what might be going on. Is that good, Nancy?
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. We had not heard that I had not heard a problem. I don't know about you. Just good to know. Thanks. Y'all have a good one. Bye-bye. Yolanda, your hair is darling.